experience right now. I mean, in a good way, in a painful way, and in a just feeling sort of way. I mentioned a long time ago that I did training to be a CASA, which is somebody who is appointed by court to represent and advocate for kids in foster care. And so I'm just embarking on that, and there's I'm not really at liberty to talk a lot about it, so I can't really say a lot of details. I can't say any details, but oh man, it takes a big heart. It takes a big heart and a lot of what do I want to say, resilience to do it, because it's, you know, these are kids that are in foster care, so they all have a story, and I think we all have a story anyway, but they have a more dramatic story. So my heart is really feeling a lot, having just interacted. It's like I'm trying to be careful because I can only say so many things, very generic statements like I'm saying, but it's a lot to hold. The role of a CASA is so special because we get to be we just get all the first-hand insider information because we're really an advocate for the well-being and the best interest of the child. So it's a lot to be privy to, the information. And then I've also just been uncovering some deep things in the EMDR therapy that I've been going through. And last week I had some I usually go on Mondays. Last Monday I had deep emotion, like really beautiful awareness and depth, and some things arise from my heart that felt very profound, and I didn't know were there. I think there's so much that can live dormant inside of us, or unconscious, subconscious, to our daily lives, and I think the more busy we keep, the more those things can stay hidden. But shedding light, you know, like really wanting to get underneath the surface and get under the skin and dig deep into the wells of my heart. And so I just had some really beautiful realizations come up, and I'm speaking generally again because I just don't like to say really specifics about people, but just speak to my own experience. And then so I had my therapy session today, and we kind of like revisited some of the things that came up last time, and I feel really clear inside my heart, just about like life choices, which is nice. I wish I felt a little bit more clear about my medical choices, because those are it's just hard. It's really hard to figure out. When I go to meet the plastic surgeon, I think it's September 9th, we'll see what he says. He usually talks me into something different than what my ideas are, because I have a lack of understanding, and he helps me understand something, and I go, okay, well, that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking, like, what, can I just do one more surgery and just be done? Like, this side that has no breast, it's just flat. It's just like so comfortable to sleep on. It looks really unattractive. It's not just like a sewn line. It's just all like shriveled up breast tissue or breast skin, really. So it's not anything that I feel like great about. Like if I wore a bikini, or something, I would rather have just like a sewn up line than this, like, you know, shriveled up breast matter to be sort of weird and kind of gross about it. But what was I going to say about that? But anyway, I didn't finish saying what I wanted to about just matters of the heart and like life feeling so precious. Then somebody made a comment on one of my videos on YouTube about like rest in peace to this dear woman named Hollis, who I just found out about her recently. She had commented a few times on some videos that I made, and then somebody else was commenting on one of my videos, and they were like, oh, Hollis, oh, it's so nice to hear from you, and I love your videos. And I was like, oh, she makes videos, let me check that out. And so I went and checked her out recently, and she was this beautiful really spunky, quirky, fun woman who's been battling cancer. And I don't even know which cancer she had, but I know it had really spread to her bones and she was in a lot of pain. And somebody just wrote, like, as I was driving over to do this CASA thing, like, rest in peace, Hollis. And so I had to pull over right away. I was like, what's going on with her? Because she actually hadn't updated for a while in her videos, and that's kind of like the thing that is a little scary, is when somebody goes quiet for a while, which I've had my moments of going quiet for a while where I just don't feel like sharing. I'm just tired, or I just don't feel inspired, or whatever it is. And it had been a long time, and she had said, like, hey guys, I'm okay, I just don't feel like sharing. But like weeks had passed, and I think she was making videos more regularly than that. So anyway, I checked her YouTubes, I checked her Instagram, and I couldn't find anything, so I decided to go on Facebook and look on there. And then in one of the integrative tribes, somebody had confirmed that she passed away. So, oh man, it really brought up a lot for me. It really stirred me, because well, my gosh, you know, if I'm dealing with cancer and she's dealing with cancer, so I mean, enough said. But in more detail, it's like, she was doing a lot of things integratively. I don't really know her whole story, but it just hit me hard. Like, okay, the thing I wanted to say, I'm a little low blood sugar right now, so I'm kind of spacey, is that, like, one of my biggest fears, oh, it's gonna get really loud. Okay. One of my biggest fears is that I'll just slip away very subtly. Like last year, I still feel it to a degree, but it's a little bit better. From chemo and stuff, I really felt like I had lost a lot of my mental capacity. I mean, I still do. Like, I still can't track things in the same way that I used to be able to. I feel like I'm just not as sharp as I was, and that's really troubling and upsetting and uncomfortable for me, and I just keep hoping it'll come back. But like, watching this woman Hollis's video, you know, it just, like, her videos from 2 years ago and then from a year ago, she just looked so vibrant, you know, and she just started to slowly slip into looking more and more ill, yet her like spirit and demeanor and the way she spoke was still full of so much inspiration and light. And it's just like, I guess it's kind of like the same thing. Like, I'm like terribly afraid of dementia. I mean, I'll be 45 actually on Saturday, and I don't know, I think about if I have the good fortune of growing old and being in my 80s or 90s, like, dementia scares me, because I just think, like, people are, you know, like, who are you? And it's your grandchild, and you just can't remember anything or do anything. And, like, to me, that is the same as death. I don't even know why a person would want to live in that state if they don't have a memory and they can't interact, they can't relate to whoever's in front of them and know who they are. That's scary. So it kind of makes me think that when I see people who have these health challenges or dealing with this illness, and I'm just like watching them slip away, yet they stay so inspired, which, why would you want to not be inspired, you know? Being inspired and staying upbeat and staying positive are really important, I think. But because, like, why would you want the alternative? But it just scares me. Like, I'm so afraid that that's what's happening to me, that I'm just like slipping away slowly, and it all happens so subtly, and then I'm just gonna see like my face like shrinking in, and because that's what it looked like with her and with other people I've seen, and I'm just like, it's scary, and I don't need to go there mentally, and I don't think I usually do, but those are like the kind of fear that lurk underneath the surface, the things that when I hear somebody who just died, I'm just like, oh my God. I really wonder, I don't know what kind of cancer she had. I can't remember because I don't know her story well, but It's so hard because I hear about people that are just doing integrative medicine, and I think, like, to each their own, absolutely to each their own. People should do what they want. But it breaks my heart when I see someone just putting all of their faith and all of their heart and all of their hope really into some alternative therapy and not doing anything conventional. I mean, I do not think conventional medicine is the be-all, end-all in any way. I really don't. I think complementary medicine is really the best a person can do. That way you're taking the best of both worlds. But it's so hard, There's all these side effects, and the side effects are, like, now I get what it means for a person to have, what's it called? Here's my brain not functioning well. Like, what a person's living, there's a phrase for it, it's totally slipping my mind. Quality of life, right? A person's quality of life is so important, and if your quality of life is compromised due to side effects, like I was sitting in a ceremony last night, and my legs were crossed, and like my knee was killing me. I mean, granted, I am like 45 almost on Saturday, but my knee was just like, and I thought, I'm not even taking the drug that I need to take to control estrogen. Like, what's going to happen when that happens? Like, joint pain is a really big side effect. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm saying a lot of things at once, I guess, but quality of life is so important, and doing what we believe in is so important, and not living out of fear and living from fear, it's really important. But I guess I'm just aware of the preciousness of life. It's so precious. Going around like arrogant and haughty and like not present to who we love and what we love, and just doing what we love in the world. It's like life is just so precious. I'm seeing it in so many ways, being a CASA, seeing this person online who I didn't know but I felt affected by die, and getting in touch with some like really deep like repressed, I guess, feelings and emotions and depth that were like alive in me. And I don't know. Yeah, I just wanted to share something from my heart. And maybe if anybody feels like inspired by what I'm saying, you can just love a little bit more today, or be a little bit more real, be a little bit more honest, and recognize like what a gift it is, and how precious it is to have good health. I think that's really one of the biggest blessings that we get is good health, and we take it for granted when we're younger. I mean, I took it for granted. Like, I think I've been dealing with this blood thing for my whole life. I really do. I had really heavy menstrual cycles, and I had a lot of bloody noses when I was a kid, and I bruised really easily, and it just never occurred. I never even got any blood work done, except maybe when I was pregnant. But that would have been really specific, just to see, like, am I Rh negative or positive, because there can be some conflict with like the newborn and the mother if their blood is not the same. But the thing I'm also realizing is a lot of these tests are just, they're so specific. It's not like, oh, and by the way, we noticed that like your vitamin D is really low. Like, they're not looking for that, so they're not going to comment on it. And I just think anybody who's in their 30s, maybe even 20s, but certainly 30s, like, don't take your health for granted. Go get yourself checked out. Get your blood work done. See where your vitamin D levels are, because that's something that's like a chronic problem for people a lot of people that end up with a cancer diagnosis. And also just like, don't be so, so confident that you're immune to it. I just heard about another woman in the community where I live. Okay, she is like a hardcore yogini. Okay, I mean, I did yoga for a lot of years. Another friend of mine did yoga for a lot of years. This woman was like, she had me beat by far, and doing like advanced yoga, doing all kinds of stuff. And all it did was, when I found out she just got a cancer diagnosis, she's 49. I thought, well, yoga is definitely not a preventative measure for not getting cancer. So please don't just like be so bold or be so arrogant to think that you can't be affected by something because you eat organic or you meditate or you do whatever you think you do that keeps you healthy. It's real, and the older we get, the more prone we are, the more vulnerable we are to these things. So anyway, I didn't mean to preach, but I guess it just comes out. The preacher in me comes out because prevention is definitely better than trying to deal with after the fact. Prevention's the best medicine. I think that's the saying. So yeah, that's what I have to share today. Thanks for listening and being on the ride with me. Oh man, well, one of my YouTube friends, thank you for sending me that link, just sent me a link to the Instagram where the woman who died recently, her name was Hollis, her husband wrote a really beautiful and moving account of her, and he was in her videos a lot. Their videos are so sweet. If you're going through cancer and you need some inspiration, you can watch her videos. I mean, it ends on a tragic note, but all the videos and they're really lovely. I didn't watch them all, but I watched a bunch. But he says that she didn't leave behind her child. She really created this magical being. She created something and gave a gift. And it's a little bit triggering for me because her daughter was 12. My daughter's about to turn 11, and when I was 12, I definitely went through something really hard, and I just pray that I never need to face, or nobody else, my daughter doesn't ever need to face the loss of her mother at such a young age. I think that's pretty much every mom who gets cancer. It's pretty much our worst nightmare, is leaving our children behind without their mother. In addition to not being able to watch our kids grow up, both I think are equally painful to even consider. But one thing I want to say that he did that I find so beautiful, if anybody who ever watches this has any authority or say in the matter, if I die, I would love for somebody to take on collecting letters that are written to my daughter, and that include anything about me or anything about her, anything about personal experiences of going through cancer that might be inspiring or helpful. Just basically, he requested that people send letters. They lived in somewhere in Canada, I think Ontario, and that they write letters so that his family can remember, and especially his daughter, their daughter, who's 12, can remember the impact that she had, the impact that her mother had in the world in ways that she might not even know. Her daughter may not be aware of the impact. So that's so beautiful. I just want to put that out somewhere into the universe, deeply embedded in my super long videos that I make that I know are really hard to listen to the whole thing. I don't think I would. But in case anybody ever does listen and anything should happen to me, boy, I would sure love that for my daughter. Oh man, I have a heavy heart. That is a tough one. It's just so hard to hear. And she just slipped away. I feel like I want to go back and watch her videos and just see how it all went for her, what she did. I mean, I know that she did at least an integrative approach, if not a solely alternative. And yeah, anyway, that's my wish and my request. It's so hard to even say that, it's really hard to confront my own possible death. I just don't see that happening anytime soon. I feel basically healthy. Something would have to happen out of left field, because right now cancer's not winning. Cancer has not taken over my life. So I mean, as far as I know, I have no evidence of disease. So That reminds me, somebody called about getting a CT scan. I have to call back. I can't keep up with things, that's for sure. I'm right now turning an application in at the doctor's for my daughter, so she can be seen. And it's just like, if it's not an emergency, I basically am having a hard time, like, being able to keep up with it. And that's really odd for me. It's very unusual. So, yeah, I just do my best.